age 18, 1955, and time to leave the cosy place of Anglesey Abbey and to go into the Royal Air Force. We had to do national service at this time, and it took 2 years. You gave 2 years to the national service, and I think you could choose. I'm not quite sure whether I could choose or not, but anyhow, I ended up in the RAF, and the RAF was known as the Brylcreem Boys. I don't know quite how that came about, but Brylcreem was something that you plastered in your hair, and it made it very flat and kind of greasy looking. And for some reason the other forces, the Navy and the Army, tended to think that the RAF boys were a little bit softer, so we got the name of Brylcreem Boys. We did 8 weeks of what they called square bashing, and that was really just military training. And the RAF place that I went to was a place called Wilmslow, and they were great big long barracks, and I guess I don't know how many people were in this, slept in this one barrack room. I guess it was 20-30 people maybe. And of course I went in, I think it was at the winter time, when there was, you know, really no heating in these little shack places. They wouldn't be allowed to do it these days, but then of course part of the training was to toughen you up and make you much tougher than you were. And it was very interesting because I had left home, so I was used to being away from my parents, and a lot of the guys who ended up doing this square bashing had never left home, hadn't been away from their families at all, and so it was extremely hard for them. And occasionally at night, when all the lights were out and everything, you'd hear someone crying in the corner, and it was fascinating really, because at least I didn't have that. Otherwise I'm sure I would have been one of the people crying in the corner. I hated it all. It was just all rough and tumble, and it wasn't at all what I was used to. So having spent this time in this house, and in a very refined kind of way, but in the end I guess I got used to it. And we did an awful lot of training, and we had to have guns and firing ranges, and then we got taken out into way away from the camp, and then we had to find our way back. I can't really remember that much about how that was, but I'm sure I probably didn't do particularly well, and I probably was clever enough to attach myself to a group of people who probably knew what they were doing, so it wasn't so bad. When you came to the end of this 8 weeks training, you used to do a passing out parade, and it was quite interesting because I think a few weeks before I was due to do this passing out parade, I was called into one of the officers and asked if I would go to Canada. And I thought, well, this is extraordinary. Why would I need to go there? There isn't any RAF base there. But they looked at my records and saw that I'd done private service at Anglesey Abbey, and one of the air commodores out in Canada, in Ottawa, needed a batman. And it was still the days when all the officers had batmen. They were people who looked after their clothes and cleaned their shoes and things like that. And so the opportunity came for me to be able to go to Canada, which was quite extraordinary, because I was going to be the only ordinary airman in Canada. So apart from, and I wasn't on a base at all, I wasn't going to be living in a barracks or anything like that. I would be posted out to Canada and stay in a private house. So this was the next step in my growing up period. and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at a later stage. What was interesting when it came to doing this flight to Canada, I can't remember what sort of plane it was on, but it was obviously a propeller job, and I remember sitting there in the aircraft, and the noise was just amazing, just amazing. And I think we were given stuff to put in our ears, or we had sort of earphones on, or whatever they call them. And we had to stop halfway in a place called Gander. And I remember getting off this plane and being violently sick and throwing up all over the place. So I wasn't a happy bunny. But finally arrived in Ottawa. And I'll talk more about that and my time in Ottawa. Okay, bye now.